Relation tales. My wife, who I've been married to for 19 years, recently told me about something shocking. She went out for a girls' night with her friend Tanisha, who set her up on a blind date with a guy. It turns out this guy was someone Tanisha had slept with a few weeks earlier. While Tanisha was hooking up with someone else that night, she set my wife up with her previous fling. My wife left at 7:00 p.m. and didn't come home until 3:00 a.m. out of nowhere. She confessed what happened, saying she was sorry and wanted to fix our marriage. She was crying and begging for forgiveness. She claimed nothing happened between her and the guy because Tanisha had already been with him. My wife admitted that agreeing to meet him was bad, but actually going to meet him was even worse. I don't really believe her claim that nothing happened. She also added that I make more money than the guy who works at SML, so I'm the better option. It felt like she was saying that if she found someone who made more money, she might have chosen him instead. Not long after that night, my wife and Tanisha had a falling out. They went from being best friends to my wife calling Tanisha a liar and manipulative. Tanisha also told me about my wife sleeping with the guy, but left out some of the details, making things look bad, but not giving the full story. Honestly, I didn't need to know every single thing that happened. The holes in the story were too big. Little coincidences that occurred around that time put everything in perfect focus. When she told me about it, I lost all feeling for her. I just went numb and didn't even get angry. I'm done just working on my exit strategy at this point. Getting financials in order, a place to move into, etc. It really sucks that she would be willing to throw away 19 years of marriage with no regard for anything, including our 2 children. Update: she is in full-blown panic mode. Recently diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder where her white blood cells are attacking her lungs. This causes asthma attacks that normal medication can't correct. The only drug on the market that controls the condition has a COI of 30,000 after her Medicaid. If I didn't have really good health insurance through my employment, there isn't any possibility of her being able to afford it. She is trying everything to reconcile, even setting up couples counseling. We made it through 2.5 sessions. Explains why she came clean on partial truth and wants to fix things. Counseling went the way I figured it would. Every session was all about everything I had done wrong ever, including my working 50 hours each week to make ends meet because she has partial disability and doesn't work. I'm not saying that I'm perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Everything was brought up, including our 2 children. I was told that talking about her date night was off limits. During our 3rd counseling session, the counselor looked my soon-to-be ex-wife in the eye and asked her, "If you're so good at pointing out what everyone else is doing wrong, turn that focus on yourself and tell me what you do wrong." That's when things went downhill. My soon-to-be ex-wife started yelling at the counselor, asking why she was being attacked when we were there to fix me. After a few minutes of arguing, my ex-wife stormed out crying. The counselor then told me that my soon-to-be ex-wife has a deep hatred for me and that she didn't think the marriage could be saved. My response was basically, "Yeah, I agree." I thanked the counselor for her time and said we wouldn't be coming back. She offered me individual counseling and I told her I might consider it in the future. Before I left, I mentioned the forbidden topic. Needless to say, it didn't surprise her and confirmed her suspicion. Needless to say, the entire trip back to the house was about what a quack the therapist was. I've basically been on autopilot when I'm at the house. I refer to it as the house because it isn't a home anymore. I've moved into the spare bedroom. As far as I'm concerned, I may be married, but I no longer have a wife. If she didn't need good medical insurance coverage, she would still be on the hunt. I don't need to track down Tanisha to get the whole story. I live in a small community of less than 900 people. I commute to work in a bigger city daily. While at the only grocery store in the community, guess who ran into my soon-to-be ex-wife? It was the guy from the blind date. You mean little towns? It was inevitable. When he approached her, I was at the end of the aisle. He weighs maybe 150 pounds and is a little man. She didn't know where I was with her back to me once more. He made the request in front of me. She did, however, say no. That's when I walked up. I asked him if he was the guy she went out with about 2 months ago. He responded with, "What's it to you?" I pushed him up against the shelves and told him I've been her husband for 19 years. He looked like he was about to lose it. I'm 6 feet 2 and 250 pounds and muscular. My wife tried to get me to back off, but I growled at her to shut up and listen. She immediately started crying. Then I asked if they had slept together. He swallowed hard and said yes. She cried harder. I told him to never let me see him again. He apologized for everything and basically ran out of the store. Her affair partner outed her by being in the wrong place at exactly the perfect time. If it hadn't been him, I would have eventually gotten the story. Needless to say, most of the time I'm on autopilot. It's as if all emotion is gone. I have to fake happiness while I'm with my children. I don't know if it is an emotional self-defense mechanism to keep things from falling further apart. I know I should be in some kind of distress over this. One day it's going to hit hard. I no longer trust the things I know to be true. Do my children really love me, or do they love the things I give them? Do my parents, do they only love the fact that I got good grades in school? Never got into trouble? The only thing I'm certain of is I can't stay in this sham of a marriage. I get up, go to work, barely eat or sleep. The only people I've told about this are strangers on the internet. I have no one to talk to about this. I go through each day pretending everything is normal. Maybe my soon-to-be ex-wife was right. Maybe the therapist does need to fix me. Just a quick reminder to hit the subscribe button. I really appreciate it and it helps me out a lot. Now, on to our second story. My wife is cheating with my coworker. I'm a 33-year-old male and my wife is 30. We've been together for 11 years and I thought everything was going well until recently. For some background, I work as a dispatcher for truckers and it's a pretty good job. I get good benefits and I make enough where we can both be comfortable. My wife had a job with building gaming computers, but she lost her job due to cutbacks. So, I've been the sole earner. I've been picking up a lot of hours and one day my car battery died on me. So, I had my wife take me to work. When we made it to the parking lot, I saw my coworker Andrew. I waved at him and he walked over to say hello, and that's when I introduced him to my wife. She got the car to shake his hand. And he looked at me and said, "You never told me that your wife was so beautiful." She blushed and I laughed, not thinking about it, saying, "Yeah, I'm lucky to have her." And then we both walked into work after I kissed my wife goodbye. I got my car good and running, so I've been going to work like normal. During lunch, I couldn't help but notice my wife's car in the parking lot. So, I walked towards it and saw her and Andrew talking and eating lunch in her car. I got upset but kept it cool and knocked on her window. She opened the door and said, "I forgot to tell you that I and Andrew were having lunch today together." Then Andrew said, "I hope you're not angry." I took a deep breath and said, "No." And I turned around and walked to the car because if I said anything else, it was going to start an argument. But I can feel my wife getting frustrated because I walk away like that. Later that day when I got home, she blew up once saying that I embarrassed her in front of Andrew. I said, "Why do you even care?" I asked her, "When did you even start hanging out with him?" She replied, "I'm a grown woman and I don't have to tell you anything." Then walked off. Since then, she's been distant and I've noticed she's on her phone more, calling and texting her friends. I'm sure it's Andrew, but I don't want to accuse her because if I'm wrong, I'll look like an idiot. But at the same time, I want to say something. I just don't know what to do. Update. I'm planning to put a tracker in my wife's car to see if I can find any evidence in case we end up divorcing. I don't really want to do it because I don't know if I can handle the pain, but I feel like I have to. Update 2. My friend gave me his AirTag and I hid it in my wife's car to follow her. She told me she was going to see a friend, but I didn't believe her. So, I followed her in my friend's car so she wouldn't notice me. After a 20-minute drive, she pulled up to a hotel. I felt sick and my heart was pounding. I really hoped I was wrong and she was just seeing a friend. But then I saw Andrew waving at her and she ran to him, jumped into his arms, and kissed him. I was devastated and furious. I wanted to get out and confront both of them, but instead I took out my phone, snapped some pictures, and left when I saw them walk into the hotel. I went home and cried, screamed, yelled, and punched a hole in the wall. I called my friend to come over, and I showed him the pictures and started crying again. I screamed 11 years down the drain. My friend gave me a hug and told me to get a lawyer and to keep stacking up evidence against her. I assure my friend that I would try even though I wasn't sure whether I could maintain the face. I have therefore been gathering evidence and maintaining my distance for the past few weeks. Every time it stung as I've witnessed them travel to hotels, restaurants, and movies, I managed to get through it. I never phoned her to tell her that I understood, even though she would tell me she was going out with her family or friends. I thought I could keep it up for at least a few more days. Especially because the lawyer I'm seeing says that I have more than evidence to make sure I win and keep everything when we divorce, but I think I messed up yesterday. My wife didn't even tell me happy birthday, but her parents did. When I went to work, my coworkers got me a cake and some gifts. I tried holding back the tears because for a moment, I forgot about everything, at least until I saw Andrew. He got me a gift and I fake smile and said, "Thank you." When I opened it was the comic Batman Death of the Family and I actually surprised because no one at work knew I was into comics and DC was my favorite. When I told Andrew that, he said my wife told him, and then all I saw was red. Next thing I know, my coworkers are holding me back and Andrew is in the corner covering his nose and yelling what the and then I screamed, "I know you've been my wife." Everyone got silent and looked at Andrew and he tried explaining it to me, but I didn't care. All I wanted to do was beat his ass until he stopped moving. But then my boss came in and sent Andrew home and took me to his office and I told him everything and showed him some of the pictures. He apologized to me and gave me some time off to sort everything and he will deal with Andrew. Really went south when I got home and my wife was waiting. She blew up on saying that I was wrong for doing that to Andrew and that she talked him out of pressing charges for hitting him. She kept yelling and yelling, saying, "Andrew makes me feel like a real woman and treats me right and knows how to make me feel special." I finally popped and just yelled, "I don't give a fuck." She looked surprised and went silent. And I kept going, saying, "If he makes you feel special, go live with him and have him support you because I'm done." Then she had the nerve to cry and say she was sorry, claiming that Andrew caught her at a moment of weakness. I took a deep breath and told her to get a lawyer because we were getting a divorce. She kept apologizing, saying she couldn't afford a lawyer and that we needed to work on ourselves. But I just looked at her and told her to pack her things. She kept crying and begging. But I grabbed her suitcase and called her sister to come pick her up. She locked herself in the bathroom, saying she wouldn't come out until I agreed to work things out with her. I told her over and over that I didn't want to fix anything and that we needed space because seeing her just made me feel angry and hurt. Eventually, she came out, apologized again, packed her stuff, and waited outside for her sister. Now I'm finally alone in the house, and I can't stop crying. I feel so many emotions. And I just don't know what to do anymore. Sorry if this post was all over the place. I'm feeling horrible and emotional right now, but I'm planning to see a therapist soon. I'll update everyone once this all blows over. Thank you again for your advice and support. Second story. Here's what happened tonight. We went on a date at 6:00 p.m. and it lasted about 2 hours. During dinner, We talked about maybe going to a bar for drinks later. The date went fine. After dinner, she suddenly said she was feeling dizzy and wanted to go back home. I didn't mind, so I drove her back and canceled our rooftop bar reservation. Once we were home, we started making out, but then she suddenly said she wanted to go out with a friend. She told me who the friend was, and I knew it was a girl she often hangs out with. So, she left and I got busy with my work until I heard a sound from her iPad. The screen lit up and I want to turn it off, but I noticed a message saying, "Just sat down," from a number I didn't recognize. I checked the message and it turned out to be a guy. He had texted her around 7:00 p.m. right in the middle of our date, asking her to have drinks at 10:00 p.m. She said yes. That was already a red flag. But it gets worse. It seemed like she had only met this guy last week. What really bothered me was a group chat with her girlfriends where they were asking, "Did he reach out to you?" and saying things like, "You need to have some fun with him." Her response was, "Oh, he asked me for drinks at 10:00, but my name will be here tonight. So nothing is going to happen anyway." We've known each other for 7 years, and our relationship has been on and off several times. But I've never caught her lying like this before. She came back after only 40 minutes. Yes, she went out for a drink with this guy whom her friends were encouraging her to try out and came back after less than an hour. So what should I